Hello world, hello YouTube, hello everybody. This is Prepper Princess. This is going to be a video about possible jobs after a collapse. This is something that I had to write down. It's been something that's tinkering in my head for a while. Of course, there are going to be different scenarios to any sort of, our brains all work differently, and there's going to be different scenarios for different people. There's a lot of people out there who think that an economic collapse means Mad Max scenario, and there's some people who believe that communities are going to come together to create somewhat of a new world. I like to stay optimistic, so this is going to be possible job opportunities after a collapse, assuming that there is still some community left, not necessarily government or police officers, but some sort of community where people are not out to kill each other. The first one is first job. These are 11 jobs. First one is survival teacher. In a collapse, I keep saying whenever I'll try and stop doing that. During a collapse, there's not going to be normal school. It's going to have to be something back to basics. So it's not going to be mathematics, algebra, geometry, and stuff like that. It's going to be things that are applicable to the current situation, practical elements. So survival teaching is something like fishing, getting your own bait, making your own snare traps, how to work a garden, how to purify food or purify water, where to locate water, how to drill a well, how to live off grid. I think that, some people do these things now, but I think that after a collapse, it's going to be even more important. People aren't going to be worrying about, there's that again. People aren't going to be worrying about repairing cars and pretty auto shows, and they're going to be looking towards more practical elements. So I think that a survival teacher would be really good. And all of these ideas are based on food for work. So there's not going to be, most likely, there could be monetary stuff going on or trading, but these are pretty much like a kid comes in and they have to bring a piece of food or fruit, and then they sit in class for 3 or 4 hours, and then you have a whole bunch of food. So it's something where you're not just surviving, you're able to thrive on these types of jobs. Another one, and you got to hear me out on all these, the next one is cosmetics. So if you think about this, there are going to be a lot of ugly women after the collapse. We all put on our makeup, we spritz ourselves with these lovely fragrances, we have nice clean clothes, and if you look at pictures back from the 1800s and 1700s before makeup came into play, there are a lot of ugly women back then. You look, they'll say things under the picture of the woman like, one of the most beautiful debutantes, and you're like, really? That's all you've got to offer? Ugh. And if you think about it this way too, not only are women going to want to feel beautiful, but the men in those women's lives are probably going to want their old woman back too. So if you have a way to make your own soaps, lotions, fragrances, or cosmetics, that's something that you should really look into. I make my own, so I already know how to do it. It's not really something that really needs or requires any teaching. Just look up the ingredients, mix them together, and you're good to go. Next one is transport services. This includes people and goods. So if you have, after a collapse, there's going to be no gas, I'm assuming. So everybody's going to be moving towards bicycle transportation. If you have something along the lines of a rickshaw where you can transport people, that's going to be a huge commodity. If somebody is in need of medical assistance and there's no hospitals open, but a community doctor who can maybe help, and they can't move. So how are they going to get to the doctor? You can either go and pick up the doctor and bring them to them, or bring them to the doctor where all the tools are. It's going to be very important, and people will pay, if they're scared that they're going to lose a loved one, they will pay whatever it takes to get that person to a doctor. This includes services as well. So the post office has been around for, forever, and they used to do this too. They still do it now. So why not continue that tradition and transport goods or services? Say, Grandma Elsie wants to give her friend Susie some artichokes. So she's got 20 artichokes to give her, and I want 5 artichokes to give her 25 artichokes. So that's what my cost is to transport your artichokes over to her. You have to, on this one, calculate the calories versus reward. Another one is lawn care. Sounds silly, right? During a collapse, there's going to be those people, those elite people that are still holding on to the old world. You know that this is true, and I know it's true. The job that I work at caters to the top 5% of American people. So I know how rich people work. They will do anything and everything that they can to maintain their status. And if that includes starving in order to have other people think that they are still doing really well, they will do it. And people like you and me don't think that way, but rich people do. House cleaning. So this is going to sound a little bit silly, but there's going to be a lot of elderly people out there who can't keep up their homes. This doesn't just go for house cleaning, but goes for like care facilities as well. More than likely, if you think about it, those places are going to be abandoned. And there's going to be some people who are going to be able to get by on their own and maybe use the surrounding grounds to plant their own gardens. But there's also going to be people who aren't going to be able to have the energy to clean their own homes. So I think that that's a really big thing. Helping people, old people especially, keep their homes clean so that they don't get sick. Food preparation. A lot of people don't think about how to prepare their food. They have all the food that they've got, but they have no way of cooking it. So if you've got the facilities where you're able to cook food for other people, that's something that you should definitely consider. And just say, I will take, I'll make this big meal for everyone, but I'm going to take a meal as payment for that. Baked goods. A lot of people during the Great Depression, they would make their own baked goods and sell them for a profit. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it might be just enough. You trade somebody for a pie and they give you 20 apples, and then you're able to make another 2 or 3 pies, and then they give you 20 apples per pie, or whatever it is, whatever your cost would be. So baking goods is a big one. Repair services. So here's another one. If you know how to sew, you have a sewing machine, you know how to fix or repair bicycles, shoes, or clothing, this is going to be a really big thing. People aren't going to be able to obtain things in order to fix what they already have, those people who are non-preppers and didn't think ahead of time. So if you're able to sew on patches to clothing, or even have iron on patches, and you have the ability to use an iron, I've got this one. It's from the 1800s. You put it on a hot coal, and then, or hot rocks, and then it gets it heated up, and then that's how you do your ironing. It doesn't have to be a plug-in iron. That's not necessarily what I meant by that, so sorry for the confusion. Grooming and hair care. This idea was brought up by Purity White Cloud, and I expanded on it a little bit for hair care. If you have straight razor skills, that's something where you can even open your own barbershop. There's going to be a lot of men out there who don't have the tools that they need in order to keep their beards trimmed, and they still want to look good. They want to look good for the ladies. They want to feel good as a human being. It's really big morale booster. Just something to think about. Water purification. So if people have access to water, but they have no way of purifying their water, they have the not just ability, but the likelihood of getting extremely sick from the water that they're drinking. So this is a you fly, I buy. So they bring in 10 gallons of water, you purify it, and you take your 2 gallons for payment, so that it keeps you from having to go somewhere and obtain water. They will bring the water to you, and you will purify it. The last one is a bathhouse. Now, you got to hear me out on this one. So they had bathhouses back in the 1800s, and this is only going to be good if you have access to a fresh water source, a well, and ways of heating your water. Maybe you have access to a natural hot spring. Who knows? But this is something that, water is going to be a huge commodity. There may be people who are going to comment, they're going to come after you because you have a bathhouse. Now, there's something to be said about being in public. If you have a bathhouse and you have all these customers come into your bathhouse, what are the odds that somebody's going to come in, kill you, take your bathhouse, and then they've got 30 customers the next day saying, "Where's Joan? Where did the owner go?" "Oh, we killed her." Okay. So then all those customers, and you're going to be more than likely, if you're the marauder hoarding all the water for yourself, then you're going to have about a couple hundred people coming after you. So I don't even want to get into that. But the bathhouse is something that's been around even since Roman times. They had bathhouses, and people want to be clean. Cleanliness is, like godliness, and people don't really want to stink, I don't think. So it's something that you may want to take into consideration if you have those tools available to you. And if anyone comments on this video about me just going ahead and becoming a prostitute, screw you. Just shut up. That's not feasible. That's stupid. It's not going to be, I don't think that any sort of collapse is really going to turn into a Mad Max where people are out to kill each other. You're walking on a trail and you're just going to shoot somebody in the head just because you saw them and you don't want to be around them. That's ridiculous. That's literally never happened in the history of mankind, and I think that that's just some sort of prepper fantasy, like Dungeons and Dragons for preppers. So just chill out. Don't tell me I need to become a prostitute, because all that's going to do is make me really mad. And it'll get your comment erased, and I'll also erase you from being able to comment in the future. So just shut up and don't be a jerk. So those are my 11 ideas that I have for jobs after a collapse. If you guys have any ideas, go ahead and leave them in your comments and like my videos. And please do go ahead and share my videos. I'm trying to get up to 3,000 subscribers. We're pretty close. We're almost there. And do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. Hello world, hello YouTube, hello everybody. This is Prepper Princess. This is going to be a quick video about things that people often forget about during an SHTF. So, of course, I'm going to not have all of the answers or all of the scenarios on this video because, everything is going to be different for different people. But some of the things that people forget are ways to repair things that you already have. For instance, needle and thread to repair your clothing, shoe glue, and replacement laces to fix your shoes. If you think about it, and all of the manufacturing is gone, there's not going to be any way to obtain that stuff after a collapse. So it's something that you might want to stock up on right now. Also, eventually we're going to run out of gasoline in an SHTF. The stations aren't going to be open. You're not going to be able to pump gas. You're not going to be able to open up the container and get your own gas. It's just not going to happen. So a lot of people are probably going to be transitioning into bicycles. And, I think that that's great. And I think it's a great thing to do right now if you're able to, physically fit enough and things like that. But people don't take into consideration the tools and things that you'll need to repair a bicycle. For instance, replacement inner tubes, replacement patches for inner tubes, and the tools required in order to get the wheel off to repair it. Also nuts and bolts that you'll need to repair the bike, because if you think about it, that's your main form of transportation. Right now you go over to an auto mechanic and you have your auto repaired. There's not going to be really any bicycle mechanics, so you're going to be pretty much on your own. Another thing is ways to transport goods or services, such as a bicycle trailer. I'm in the process of saving up for a bicycle trailer right now, but that's not something that people think about. Also, I'm going to make a video about jobs that I think that people could do during an economic collapse. Not necessarily to make money, but, it's sort of like a work for food type thing, and I'll make another video on that. Another thing is, right now we live in a climate-controlled area, a climate-controlled environment. All of us have heating and air conditioning. We even have, programmable thermostats to keep it at exactly the right temperature, 70 degrees, and that's not going to be available after a collapse. Keeping warm and keeping yourself from obtaining hypothermia just by having firewood around is something that people don't often consider. And another thing that to consider is eventually you're going to run out of gasoline, so you're going to have no way of powering your chainsaw. So you're going to have to get a good old-fashioned chainsaw and do some, what's it called in the Army, scouting, for the right type of firewood in order to burn to heat your home to keep yourself alive. I think that a lot of people are going to be doing a lot of mass migration into areas that are more climate controlled. For instance, I live in, middle California, which is already fairly climate controlled as it is. I don't really use a heater or air conditioner, even in, the hottest days of the year. my house stays relatively normal at about 85 degrees when it's been 105 outside for 3-4 days at a time. Same with rain. You know, I've got the shelter that I need, and it's not particularly cold. Today it's raining, and I don't have a heater on. But if, you know, worst comes to worst, you're going to need firewood in order to keep yourself alive. I would highly recommend, it's not something that's economically feasible for me at this time, but I would highly recommend a wood-burning stove, especially if you live, you know, in the Midwest or the East Coast where it gets particularly cold and there's snow on the ground. You're going to need a way to cook your food too. And a wood-burning stove has a dual purpose. It heats your entire home through convection heat, and it also allows you the opportunity to cook your food on the top of the wood-burning stove. That's a dual-purpose thing. I think it's really important. I would love to have one, considering maybe getting a camping stove as a backup, but I wouldn't have anywhere to put the camping stove in. And, you know, there's a lot of different things that people don't think about, just the needle and threads to repair your clothes, because you're not going to be able to get new clothes. You might be able to trade with friends, but more than likely you're going to also be shrinking out of the clothes that you currently have, and you're just going to have to repair what you've got using patches and extra, you know, rags you've got sitting around the house. I would also recommend, if you do have extra clothes, just put them up in your in the back end of your closet. You might need that fabric in the future to repair the clothes that you already have. Then you've got the bicycle trailers, you need to repair those. Another thing that people think about is water. You know, I've got the water containment system behind me. I've also got a rain barrel. I have one rain barrel that holds 55 gallons. In order for me to make it through the summer, just watering my fruit trees, not including any vegetables or gardening things that, you know, other stuff like tomatoes, leafy vegetables, greens, onions, stuff like that, I would not have enough water to sustain a garden. And a lot of people think that if they have these, you know, 55-gallon storage drums of water, they're a-okay as long as they've got seeds. But the truth of the matter is that you're going to need water to water those seeds. And unless you have access to a stream, pond, river, anywhere where you can get water to water your fruits and vegetables, or you have a well, if you don't have access to that, you're out of luck. You're going to starve to death. Hopefully, if there is a collapse, you know, I'm a positive thinker, and I would hope that society would rebuild itself and people would be working together, but, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. So it may be possible that they're not going to be trucking in water. You're not going to be able to, you know, get water in your area. And if that's the case, that's where you need to bug out. The place that I live has a 400-foot water table, and the minimum cost of drilling a well, you know, down that far, 400 feet, is $10,000. That's not an economically feasible option for a lot of people, and it's not feasible for me either. So I do what I can with what I have, and I know that it's not going to last forever, and I have other, you know, backup options on top of backup options, but you guys really want to consider the water scenario and the gardening seeds. It may not do you any good if there's no water in your area and you can't grow your own food. Another thing that people often forget is entertainment after a collapse. Right now, we are in a society that is technology-based and I believe technology-addicted. People are multitasking on a regular basis. They're watching TV, they're playing on their iPad, they're making videos on their iPhone, and, you know, socially, people don't even talk to each other anymore. They just text each other. Whenever you go to a restaurant with a friend, there's always that friend who's on their phone, doing whatever, playing Angry Birds, or, you know, texting a million different people, because they, you know, it's getting to the point where people aren't even able to socially speak with each other without having something else to do. So keeping yourself entertained after a collapse, once you no longer have that technology available, is really important. Games are a big thing, and books are going to be a big thing. I have a, what is that thing called? A foosball table, which doesn't require any electricity. You just need the little ping pong ball or whatever it's called, and that provides hours upon hours of entertainment. Literally, you don't want to stop. Once the sun goes down, that's when the games are going to have to be pulled out, because you're going to be more than likely working for your life in the daylight, because there's not going to be any ambient light available after nighttime. Also, lots of boards games, you know, Battleship, sorry, all the classics. Battleship, sorry, Scrabble, Yahtzee, you know, just scatterworries. You can even get one of those boards where you write ink and you guys can play that game, like, you know, 2 words, first words, 8 syllables, whatever it is. Pictionary, I think it is. Hangman, tic-tac-toe. You can even build your own beanbag toss game, which is something that I'm going to do once I find the wood to do that. But it's something that you guys want to keep in mind, is that, you know, it's going to be great for morale in order to have games available after, you know, a collapse, because people are going to be, hopefully families will be gathering together, but again, we're losing that social thing that we have where we can talk to each other. So you have to keep yourself busy in order to not go completely crazy. So right now, that's it for now. Oh, also, sorry, not that's it for now. One other thing, balls, like basketballs, footballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, hockey pucks and rollerblades. That's something that you might want to keep on hand too. I'm sorry, I keep looking over there because they're right over there. But that's something that you might want to keep on hand too, because it's just a one cost, and get yourself a pump and a needle. It's just a one cost item. A lot of people throw them away too. And it'll cost you one time, and you can reuse that ball, you know, for the rest of your life. So something to keep in mind. So that's the things that I think that people forget about during an economic collapse. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.
Hey guys, today this video is going to be, I get a lot of comments. I mean, not comments, I get messages, and it's strange. I get messages, but they're not put in the comments. They're just direct emailed to me about, oh, you need to buy this top of the line product and spend this amount of money, man, and it will, like one, I got a some flashlight. It's like an $80 flashlight, because somebody saw my post, my video, that a Dollar Tree flashlight, and they said, oh, you need to get this. I can't even remember the name of the brand, but it's like 80 bucks. Why in the hell would I want to go spend $80 on a flashlight where I could drop it, it breaks, I could lose it, it could get wet, you know, number of things could happen to it. If that Dollar Tree flashlight, I happen to lose it or break, no big deal. I just go in our supplies and get another one. But this video today, it's, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but it's where you can be self-reliant. Build it yourself and save your money. You know, I've done a video, be self-sufficient, or however the hell you say that word, and self-reliant. But this is, I guess, is a follow-up, you want to call it. But anyway, say a economic collapse happened. Say SHTF happened, and there's no power. You can't use your credit cards. You can't use, you know, money. Money nobody wants. It's either you make it yourself or you barter and trade. Okay, everybody's seen my smokehouse. You see my wood burning grill. This right here, I'm building, and that's going to, I'm going to run a pipe right here. It's going to come over here. I'm going to run it into here. On top of here is going to be a piece of metal. And I'm going to put a piece of metal right here. And this right here, bring this over here. It's going to be here somewhere, most likely. And I'm going to have a portable, a little redneck, whatever you, caveman, whatever you want to call it, stove that I could actually, my wife could, you know, do biscuits, make pizza dough, whatever. And on top of it, my hot smokehouse, I can turn it into a cold smokehouse for preserving. So I've got a hot smokehouse. Then I'm going to have a cold smokehouse. Then I'm going to have an oven. And what did it cost me? Absolutely nothing. just my time and my common sense to figure something else out. Okay. No money whatsoever. Here, everybody knows what this is. It's one of those backpack weed sprayers. Found it. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to take all this junk off of here. I'm going to leave the frame, leave the straps. I'm going to take all this off. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to cut it from, I'm going to come around here. I'm going to cut it big enough where I can put my 110s and 220 traps in it. I have a trapping backpack that I don't have to carry a 5-gallon bucket with me. Free. If you go buy, you can go buy a better backpacking trap pack. And you're going to spend $40 to $80 for it. Why do I need to spend that much money on something that I can take like this and make it and it'll work for me? Here's another thing. Yes, I do have fishing poles. Yes, I do. But this is just a piece of bamboo. Great. It's about 7 foot tall. Great for fishing in creeks or off the bank. Me and the kids love bank fishing with those, or going to the creek down here. Didn't cost me anything. I already had the fishing line and I had everything, just my time. This wood you see right here, I mean, get over here. These are 2x12s, about 6 foot long, something like that. 2x4s. Landscape timbers. Guy didn't need them. He had too many. He says, hey Mike, you want them? At the time, I don't have a use for them, but yeah, I took them because I've already got thinking of what I can build. And when I do build it and I need the wood, it's not going to cost me a dime. I'm not going to have to worry about if Home Depot is open or if Lowe's is open or, wherever is open. I don't know if I'm making my point. You don't have to have a lot of money in order to survive. Because if something happens, people, and you have to run to the woods, do you think there's going to be a 7-Eleven on the corner? Or do you think there's going to be a Walmart's right around the next bend of the road? Or a Home Depot sitting on top of the valley, sitting on top of the mountaintop for you to go run to? No, they're not. You're going to have this right here. This and what you got upstairs. Another thing, all that wood I showed you, I got from those pallets and everything. Okay? Let me get my muskrat trap out of the way. It's another thing. I made storage. Let me get down here so I can show you guys. Little storage bins out of them. I can put our supplies in there and take them to our stash where we keep our rest of our supplies, and don't have to worry about it. Didn't cost me a dime, just my time. Plus, after I get done using them, I got a chair to sit on, or I got a nice little table to use. That's 3 uses right there. A storage, a chair, or a table. Didn't cost me a dime because I already had the nails. Use a saw, a hand saw, to cut everything with, and just my time. This right here, this is my finished muskrat trap. I painted them green so they won't shine in the thing. You go to buy these, if you can find them, you're going to pay anywhere between $7 and $10. You can find them at a store, and that much online, plus the shipping and handling. I went out, I bought a roll I done a video on it, and I made 8 of them. And that would cost me, if I ordered them, it would cost me $80+ for them. Cost me 32, I think, if that. but I made them and they work just as good. I don't understand why you have to go spend a lot of money for stuff when you can do it yourself. And the next one I heard, actually, it's kind of funny. You know, I'm 6 foot and about 190, 192. And I had a Coca-Cola in my video and had a cigarette in my mouth. And I actually got an email saying, man, if anything happens, you're going to be out of shape. You need to stop your smoking. You need to stop drinking Cokes and just eat healthy. I guarantee you, I eat healthier than most people because I eat a lot of what I hunt and what I fish and what I trap. I don't like going to the store getting this processed meat. We get our farm fresh eggs from this lady. No chemicals, you know. It's crazy. I mean, I'm like this. I'm a smoker. Yeah, I know it's bad for me to smoke. Everybody knows it cuts your wind, you know, this and that. But if you work in a factory, what toxins are you breathing in? You know, I worked construction for years. How much asbestos and concrete dust and sawdust and drywall dust that go in my body? That probably done more harm to me than me smoking a cigarette. And these people that works at all these factories, look at all those chemicals you're breathing in. And if you drink water out of a faucet, that Coke's probably a lot healthier for you than a lot of people, you know, water faucet. Look at Flint, Michigan. There's a few other places. Yes, you need to be in shape. I do agree you need to be in shape. You just can't be 400 pounds and when something happens think you're going to walk 10 miles with 30 or 40 pounds of gear on your back. You ain't going to happen. You're going to die of a heart attack. Yes, you do need to get in shape. Like me, my pack weighs about 50 pounds. Though my weapon and my ammo, you're putting on another probably 8 to 10 pounds. And plus my boots and my coats or whatever, you know, I'm going to be, but I'm used to that. You know, the work I do, people, it's logs. You know, I sell logs, I split firewood, I cut down and clean up trees. I'm used to heavy work. A lot of people's not. But, you know, I got a comment on that, and that just kind of blew my mind. Like, wow, okay. Because I'm 47, I'm too old to do something? Yeah. I can probably outwork most 18, 19, 20-year-old kids to the table, underneath the table, because I can work from daylight to dark. And I don't need to check my phones or my iPods or anything like that. Another thing I want to show you guys. This is for our, you know, for this out here. This is our basically outside wood bin. I hadn't found an old pallet. Just put some slats up. This old tarp, I mean, this plastic right here came off the pallets that was given to me. I just screwed them together, screwed them in, put that on there. Cover. Keeps my outside firewood. Didn't cost me a dime, just a little bit of my time. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. If you get with these people and they say you need to buy all this fancy gear and you need to stop and stop drinking and eating the way you do, don't listen to them. Do for yourself. If you do for yourself, you're going to feel accomplished. Like, yes, I done it. This is mine. I done it. And it's going to save your wallet, because you might need that extra $80 for a bill. Because I got 3 boys. I got a 3-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 13-year-old. You know, I got to buy school supplies, shoes, clothes, you know, field trips. You know, I got bills. I can use that money a lot better than I can spending $80 on a flashlight. But anyway, guys, that's my point I'm trying to get across to you guys. Sorry this video is long. Do for yourself. make use of what you got, scrounge around, see what you can use, and build it yourself. You'll feel a lot better about it when you've done it yourself. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next one. This time, please comment and tell me what you guys actually think about what I've said. You know, I don't care if you say you're crazy, you're full of it, or say, hey, you're right on. I just like to know what you guys think about how I feel, how I'm seeing things. But please, just, you know, comment below and let me know. Anyway, till the next time, everybody be safe and keep preparing. Bye. Hey, guys. Hey, everyone. This video, I done a video the other day that, and I got a lot of emails. Didn't get a lot of comments, got a lot of emails. And about me, they said I gave away security. About when I was talking about where, you know, where I live at, it's open. You know, it's open. You know, you can, it's not a very good place to defend. And a lot of people said, oh man, Mike, you shouldn't say that. You know, you just gave away this and that. I didn't give away anything, because number one, if something was to happen, we're not staying here, because number one, I know it's undefendable. But I can't understand why I'm getting slack from that. And only way I can put it in terms is, say you lived in a big city and you lived in an apartment building, you lived on the 5th floor, and you're watching this, you know, watching my videos. I'm going to tell you, if you live in an apartment building, it's undefendable, because rioters, looters, or whoever can start a fire on the 1st and 2nd floor, and you're trapped. You have no way out unless you jump. I mean, you don't have wings to fly. And it's the same way here. You know, I'm not going to be trapped in my home. You know, I'm not on here to make money. I have no sponsors. I have no pay account or whatever of that. YouTube don't pay me. I get on here to make videos to help people out. And helping you out, if I have to tell you something like, this place is undefendable, I'm not going to stay here, maybe you'll open your eyes and you'll look around where you're at and you'll see the faults. Maybe 95% of your area is defendable, and you realize, wait a minute, that 5% over here isn't. I need to fix that. Or if we can't fix it, we need to go somewhere else. That's the point I'm trying to get, guys. You know, I make a living by my business that I own and I operate. I also teach classes. You know, I've got a lot of experience underneath my belt. I got a lot of skills underneath my belt. I'm not one of these, or was I ever one of these ones that goes out and plays on the weekend once a month. You know, I know what it means to be in the shit. And I'm talking the dark, deep shit. So, now, if you want to learn something, come to one of my classes, and I will teach you. It will blow your mind. But what God, that just, I can't understand why people would say, oh, you're not supposed to say that on YouTube, or, you know, give up your security. I'm not giving up nothing. Everybody who knows me knows I live in an area where it's wide open. I don't have no trees or nothing like that around me. You know, you can kind of look behind me. It's wide open. See, there's a road right behind me. I mean, everybody says, oh, build you a big fence. Yeah, I need probably 2 or 3 tractor and trailer loads of poles to make a perimeter. And why would I do that when somebody could firebomb it and burn it down? And what gets me, these guys get on here and I'm on top of the mountain. I got enough food and water. Nobody can get to me. Really? You know, or I got 5 or 6 guys with me. You know, we got security. I guarantee you, me personally, can go through your security and get to your supplies before you even know what's going on. I am 150% certain I can do it. And you would eat crow. But, you know, it don't bother me with the negative comments. Everybody's got a free speech for now. You know, that could change. But think before you speak. You know, I'm sitting in on here telling you guys, hey, you know, my fault's where I live at. You guys need to turn around and you really need to think about your faults where you're at. Getting back to the guys on the mountain, you know, top of the hill or mountain. You know, oh, we got plenty of food, we got plenty of water, we can hold off somebody. Maybe individuals you can hold off. But what happens, say, the UN comes in and they're sitting at the bottom. They got tanks, they got mortars, they've got helicopters, they got airplanes, they've got everything you don't have. They can wipe that mountaintop out with you, along with your family and your friends. Out. So don't think you're invincible because you have an AK or a semi-automatic AK or a semi-automatic AR and think you're a warrior, because you're not. If you've never been in the shit, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea of the different phases you go through. And a lot of people can't turn it on and turn it off. That's something you learn to do. You turn it off when you don't need it. You turn it on when you need it. And me talking about my security issues, that's just common sense. That's to help somebody else out who thinks they're impregnable, you know, that you can't get to me. And if you actually turn around and you look, you're going to find all kinds of flaws in your security. So again, I'm not on here to make a dime. I make my money from my business and from the classes I have. And people walk away mind blown, because you want to learn guerrilla warfare? Come to me. You want to learn jungle survival classes? Come to me. You want to learn actually how to survive? Come to me. I'm not on here with these fine fancy videos, you know, and this and that. I have no clue how to make them. This is a regular cell phone that I make my videos off of. I don't have no, you know, I don't download them to 2 or 3 computers and add the music, or I don't want none of that crap. I'm on here to help people the best I can. You know, you can take my advice, or you can take my advice and flush it down the commode with a big turd. That's your right. But when I tell you something, I'm open, I'm honest. You know, I'm not going to sit there and play games with you. Because you know, if you're listening to me, hopefully if something does happen, you listen to me and you and your family make it out. You know, that's my main goal, to have people make it. You know, you can listen to me and say, oh, you're full of shit and this and that's fine. But at the end of the day, when me and my family's fine and you and your family is in a FEMA camp or robbed and looted and don't have a pot to piss in or window to throw it out with, whose fault's that? Reading books, if you think, oh, well, I'm going to read this book and that book and this book and that book, that's fine. Getting knowledge from books are fine. but you better have hands-on experience. And I'm not talking about in the rear with the gear type. I'm talking, if you don't have it, you better have people who's been in the shit, who knows what they're talking about, who will turn around when the shit comes down, will treat you like the drill sergeants I had. You people really need to wise up. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not on here to make a dime. I'm on here to pass my knowledge. And if me saying I have a security flaw in my thing, big deal. You know, it's true. Somebody in this field and somebody in that field could pin me down and I couldn't move. What's the deal in that? That's like telling somebody, if you live in the city, get out of the city. You know, it's undefendable. Go somewhere. I've got 3 places I can go to. I got our first bug out, our second bug out location, our third bug out location. And it's defendable. It's got water source. It has food source, you know, hunting, trapping, fishing. And it's got wild edibles that I'm still learning. You know, it's got all that. And the terrain is perfect for defense. So, you know, it's strange. You know, I get on here and I listen to all these videos that tells people, you know, I'm bugging out and I've got all this military gear and this and that. And they have no military experience. You're going to get your ass blown away. But, I don't know, guys. Just, you can take my videos as it is. You know, like I said, I'm not asking for no money. I'm not doing this to get sponsors. I'm not doing this to get TV shows. I'm just doing this because I enjoy it. I enjoy helping people. And, you know, that's your guys' decision if you want to listen to me, if you don't want to listen to me. But when I tell you something, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say, man, I got a perfect this and I'm perfect that and I got this much ammo and I got this much food and I live in a place that's well defended. I'm not one of those type of people. If I have a flaw, I'm going to tell you I have a flaw. My security is a flaw. My water source here is a flaw. Why would I stay? I'm not going to stay and put my family in harm just so I can get on here and pretend that I'm in a super fantastic place. No, if somebody listens to me and they find out they have flaws before it's too late and they realize, ooh, we can either fix it or we can go. If it's fixable, I'm glad I helped. But I don't know. I just wanted to address the subject. You know, I got a lot of emails and a lot of flack about that. I live in the real world. I have flaws in my place where I stay at. And I'm going to let it be known. If it helps somebody else out that realizes they got flaws, they're not impenetrable, you know, so be it. I hope I help. But again, if you guys want to learn something, come to me. Take one of my classes. I got 1-day classes, 2-day classes, and 3-day classes. And I will blow your mind of the stuff that I can teach you and the ways I can teach you. It'll blow your mind. You'll think, that's one crazy sumbitch. But he makes a lot of sense. Until next time, guys, you take it easy. I'm getting ready to go to work for about 10 hours. Bye.
A bizarre and sinister-looking perfect black cube has terrified residents of a Texas town after it appeared in the skies above White Sands, the USA's most secret military installation. The terrifying black cube was photographed over El Paso. The black cube emerged in clouds over El Paso from what has been described as a black hole-type portal. Walter C. Lands, who captured the cube on his mobile phone, said, "It began to get very windy out, and I noticed a small portion of clouds begin to swirl and circle in on each other, forming a portal shape, at which point the portal became jet black."
Dave, imagine this. You have no power and no way of knowing when that power is going to be restored. Now, that's the reality for one disabled veteran living here in Radford who's left wondering why his neighbor has power, but he's still in the dark.
At nighttime, I curled up in under 5, maybe 10 blankets.
Richard Britton is a retired and handicapped veteran wondering why his power is still off after 3 days without it.
I called them yesterday or the day before. They said, oh, it'd be within 3 or 4 days. Fine dandy. Now today I called them again, and they said the same thing again.
What has Britton baffled is that his home has no power and many of his neighbors do have power. Earlier this afternoon, DTE announced it restored power to 90% of the original roughly 800,000 that lost power during this week's devastating windstorm, and offered this explanation as to why some do and some don't have power in the same neighborhood.
When we start our work and we energize that circuit, in some cases we may bring up 995 customers on that circuit, and there may be 5 additional customers that weren't brought up. There may be some additional damage there that we didn't realize.
And it appears this could be the case in Britain's Redford neighborhood. And as he deals with no heat and no electricity, the disabled veteran has this message for DTE as they scramble to get the remaining customers offline back on the grid.
Help! I need help!
Back here live now again, all DTE customers are expected to be back online, electricity back on by the end of the day, Monday.
Jerry Young Newton is the pastor for the Freedom to Love Refuge Center in Covington.
All of those other classifications, it really doesn't matter. Just see them for the person that God made them.
Before opening Freedom to Love, he was a pastor at a church in Bogalusa. He founded it and started with just about a dozen members. It grew to 300 in about 9 years. But in September, he let his church know a secret he had been hiding from them. He's gay.
That was difficult for them to handle, so the aftermath of that really ended up in closing that ministry.
He had been hiding another secret, his relationship with his partner, now husband Jody. For quite some time, no one knew about their love for each other in fear of what others would think.
It just pierces right through my soul.
But things are better at Freedom to Love. Their membership is growing.
This ministry is a vital heartbeat for our community. We need this type of ministry that will love on all God's people.
Vanessa Booty is a part of the church. She struggles with the recent killings of 2 transgender women in New Orleans.
Some people become angry because people are different and because they have not been taught how to love people just as they are.
But inside Freedom to Love, they want everyone to know labels do not exist here.
And the message that I really want people to get is, and we say this all the time, I made a decision that I would never be in a place where I'm tolerated. I'll always be in a place that I'm celebrated. And many times we attend church and we worship in ministries where people tolerate us, but they don't celebrate us.
Some U.S. hospitals are fighting off a potentially deadly fungus that doesn't always respond to drugs. More than 30 patients have been diagnosed with Candida auris, a fungal infection typically found in hospitals or similar places. A majority of people diagnosed with the fungus have died, but it's tough to know exactly how dangerous it is because the fungus has affected people who were already very ill. One concerning thing about Candida auris is some strains have been resistant to the 3 main types of antifungal drugs. Cases are starting to become more prevalent in the United States, particularly in the Northeast. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said that 28 out of the 35 documented U.S. cases were in New York State. CDC officials said they're working to better understand Candida auris and told hospitals to keep an eye out for the fungus.
At least 38 people have been killed by Cyclone Enawo that struck Madagascar this week. According to the country's disaster management department, the cyclone caused enormous damage countrywide. An estimated 153,000 people have been displaced by waters caused by the storm. Enawo hit Madagascar's northeastern coast on Tuesday morning. It has destroyed roads and cut off communications with the Antalahad district.
Overseas tonight, the deadly twin bomb attacks in Syria. Explosions ripping through the center of Damascus. At least 40 people killed visiting religious shrines, 120 wounded. The attacks targeting holy sites. Here's ABC's Jennifer Eccleston.
The bloody debris from the blasts litter the streets of Damascus. Buses riddled with shrapnel, a mangled wheelchair among the wreckage. The attackers striking Shiite tourists from Iraq visiting a holy site. At least 40 are dead, more than 100 injured. This Iraqi lucky to be alive. We finished the visit and then the explosions happened, he says. People near me were all killed. No one has yet to claim responsibility. But ISIS has attacked Shiite shrines in the Syrian capital before. More than 60 people died in a bombing last year.
There are signs Pyongyang could be laying the groundwork for the biggest nuclear test to date. According to U.S.-based North Korea monitoring website 38 North, the regime is excavating a tunnel at its Punggye-ri nuclear test site, which may support an explosion up to 14 times more powerful than the latest one. There has been increased activities at the area where the last 4 of the 5 underground tests by the communist state were conducted. Experts say the excavation will allow the Hermit Kingdom to support additional underground nuke tests of more than 280 kilotons, a much grander scale than the latest one in September 2016, coming in at some 20 kilotons.
Somewhere out there, aliens might be using huge, mysterious bursts of energy to sail ships through space. No, this isn't some UFO conspiracy. It's a new theory from a pair of Harvard scientists who've been studying fast radio bursts. Those are sudden flashes of radio pulses from beyond our galaxy that our radio telescopes only catch glimpses of. The new theory goes something like this. A super advanced alien species is using these incredibly powerful bursts of energy to push themselves around the universe on light sails. Essentially, these theoretical aliens are riding a sailboat through outer space, and they're creating wind for their sails, but scientists think the sailboat might be the size of a planet, and that's why the bursts of energy are so big. It's not as crazy as it may sound. Solar sails are a project we humans have been working on for a while, and some scientists think they're the best option we have for interstellar spaceflight. The theory is pretty fantastical. Even the authors admit that. They say they just want to put the idea out there and let the data judge it later.
And we begin with the security breach at the White House, the first known breach since President Trump took office. An intruder carrying a backpack climbing the fence just before midnight, arrested on the South grounds near the entrance to the residence. President Trump inside the White House at the time, today praising the Secret Service for their quick work. The breach under investigation as authorities reveal more about what the intruder was allegedly carrying. ABC's Gloria Riviera leads us off.
Tonight, an alleged intruder is in custody after that breach at the White House while the president was at home. The incident happened just before midnight Friday night, when a fence jumper wearing a backpack scaled a fence approximately 6 feet tall.
The intruder had to make it over the perimeter fence right there with spikes on the top meant to keep people out.
Court documents say he then made his way onto the grounds, hid behind a pillar, and approached the south portico entrance, not far from the east wing, where the first family's residence is located. The fence scaler was then stopped and questioned, allegedly telling the agent he was a friend of the president and had an appointment. This video from that time shows the lights on the south lawn suddenly turning on as he was apparently discovered. The Secret Service arrested 26-year-old Jonathan Tran from California without incident. Authorities say he was carrying 2 cans of mace and a letter to President Trump that mentioned Russian hackers. He also reportedly told authorities he was schizophrenic. Today at lunch, President Trump thanking the Secret Service.
Secret Service did a fantastic job. It was a troubled person.
Tonight, the first breach of the White House during the Trump administration is under investigation.
This is supposed to be one of the safest places in the world. How can people keep jumping over this fence?
Because this fence is short enough that literally anybody that's able-bodied can get over the fence.
This flag-wearing intruder scaled the fence on Thanksgiving Day in 2015. The Secret Service surrounded him and took him into custody. And this man, carrying a knife, sprinted across the lawn and was caught just after he got all the way inside.
Next tonight, major developments from the White House. Our correspondent asking President Trump, where is the proof? Nearly 1 week after that explosive claim that President Obama wiretapped Trump Tower before the election. And there are major developments tonight about Michael Flynn, who resigned as National Security Advisor. Was he receiving money to lobby on behalf of a foreign government, even as he was sitting in on intelligence briefings here in the U.S.? Our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl, tonight.
The House Intelligence Committee has given the Justice Department an ultimatum. Turn over all evidence, if any exists, that President Obama had Trump Tower wiretapped. The deadline, Monday. President Trump made the extraordinary allegation without providing any proof. Today, we asked him for some.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Press. Thank you. You guys, please. Thank you, Press.
Mr. President, any proof at all on the
Thank
wiretap?
you. Thank you, Press. Thank you.
Very much, Press.
Thank you. Please head out behind you. Thank you.
Are you going to provide any
Please
proof?
head out.
FBI Director James Comey, who briefed congressional leaders behind closed doors, has privately urged the Justice Department to say the wiretapping didn't happen. It comes as the department is investigating Russia's meddling in the election and any ties to the president's aides. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was fired last month for misrepresenting the nature of his conversations with the Russian ambassador. And now, another controversy. We've learned that at the height of the presidential campaign, a company with ties to Turkey hired Flynn to promote the interests of the Turkish government. This came shortly after Flynn's fiery speech at the Republican convention.
Lock her up. That's right. That's right. Lock her up.
3 weeks later, Flynn's firm was hired by the Turkey-connected company and ultimately paid $530,000. He was simultaneously serving as a top advisor to the Trump campaign, sitting in on classified intelligence briefings. On Election Day, Flynn published an article declaring, "We need to adjust our foreign policy to recognize Turkey as a priority. We need to see the world from Turkey's perspective." This week, Flynn officially filed as a foreign agent for the work he did during the campaign. And that's how the White House says the president learned of his work on Turkey's behalf.
Are you saying the president was not aware that Lieutenant General Michael Flynn was acting as a foreign agent when he appointed him to be National Security Advisor?
Correct. Well, and just remember, you wouldn't know that until he filed. He didn't file till 2 days ago, so therefore nobody would have known that because he hadn't filed as a foreign agent until 2 days ago.
Still, the White House acknowledges Flynn's lawyers told lawyers for the Trump transition team that he might need to register as a foreign agent. But they insist Flynn never told Trump himself.
De kortstreek naar Duitsland te nemen. Beyefendi buranın genel müdürü, yani buranın şefi, yüksek bakanlıklardan emir geldi, sizin direkt Hollanda'yı terk etmeniz lazım. Dan kunnen we bij escorteren. Biz size eşlik edeceğiz. Özel tim geldi sizin için. Kendi arabanızla bizi takip ederek Almanya'ya gitmeniz. En kısa yolda.
Ben konsolosluk binamıza gireceğim. Burası benim ülkemin binası ve ben bir ülkenin bakanıyım. Hiçbir uluslararası teamülde böyle bir şey yok. Bunu kabul etmiyorum, bunu reddediyorum.
We told them that we are against such a visit because this is a Turkish minister, and we don't think it is right for Turkish ministers to campaign in the Netherlands amongst Dutch people.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and reaction to the video is pretty mixed. You have some people that say, hey, this is the safest way to go when you're dealing with an unruly dog. Other people saying that it was actually cruel to tase that dog again and again. Now, I will tell you, the dog is alive tonight, but I'll warn you, if you are a dog lover, this is kind of difficult to watch.
Oh my God!
A dog on the ground. A Roseville police officer using a taser to gain control. The woman's voice you hear speaking tonight with 7 Action News about why she wants others to see this video.
I was shocked. I was outraged.
She's afraid to show her face because of the fallout that's quickly gaining steam since she originally posted this video online. But she wants everyone to see it. Since being shared shortly after 2, it is picking up steam. Thousands of people seeing it by the hour. This white dog you see being tased not once or twice, but more than 5 times. And the Roseville police chief tells me he's seen the video. It will be investigated, but until they look into it further, they are not making any comments. As for the woman who saw this unfold, she says she's disgusted by what she saw.
So they had to stop the dog somehow. So I understand that, but to continue to taser him after he was on the catch pole was just totally unnecessary.
And that's what that woman is so upset about tonight. She tells me she doesn't think that the officers were properly trained based on what she saw and the way they reacted to that dog. Now, she's not out for blood. She tells me she just wants to make sure those officers are being trained properly. Now, again, I did reach out to the police chief. We spoke by phone tonight. He said that they're not going to be commenting any further as of right now.
Governor Andrew Cuomo is getting New York ready for the snow blizzard expected to sweep the region starting Monday. He announced Sunday that the New York State Emergency Operations Center will be activated Monday evening with stockpiles of sandbags, generators, and pumps at the ready. The National Weather Service announced a blizzard watch for coastal regions including New York City and upstate New York. Forecasters say the first snow is expected in the city late Monday with up to 4 inches falling by dawn.